physics, fully reworked sound, more than 20 HD vehicles, an optimized minimap, and many more features. Now let's see it all in detail. Listen. That's the sound of a spring wind of change. Update 9.14 will introduce many new and more natural sounds to World of Tanks. The sound of shots will become deeper and more authentic. Just listen. And that engine roar. You can now tell a petrol engine apart from a diesel one and even hear the driver change gears. It all became possible thanks to your feedback, laborious work from the developers, and the implementation of a new sound platform, Audio Kinetic UIs. It allows sounds to be calculated on a separate processor core and provides a number of other advantages. Almost all audio content was reworked. Huge work has been done to add informative value to the sounds. The much-loved critical hit bell is back. Sixth Sense now also has a sound notification. You can now hear where a shell flying by was shot from, and approximately identify the caliber and type of a shell just by the sound of it hitting your vehicle. Apart from that, developers added an important setting, dynamic range. New functionality affects the quality of sounds and allows you to choose between wide and narrow audio ranges. The former is more suitable for high-quality sound systems, the latter for simpler ones, for example, notebooks. Regardless of all the obstacles and difficulties, all the ricochets and non-penetrations, and thanks to your feedback, the game will receive improved physics. Send your vehicle skidding, make a handbrake turn, and even roll your opponent over. All these things are now possible in World of Tanks and not just racing games. Now the vehicles move much more naturally. The hull inclines and the suspension fully reacts to the terrain. The road irregularities are now much quicker and easier to negotiate. Be careful though, in the heat of battle you can roll your own vehicle as well. Think twice before hitting that accelerator pedal. For an onlooker, the vehicles may now seem slower, but impartial tests show that it's not the case. The dynamics for the majority of vehicles remain the same, while quick machines became even quicker. The general speed of the game is almost unchanged. Besides this, everyone received a new tool for their inventory. By pressing the direction keys and the spacebar, you can send your vehicle skidding. This option is disabled for artillery and tank destroyers for balance considerations, while sluggish heavy tanks will have little use for it. But this option will undoubtedly become widely used on fast tanks. More than 20 vehicles have been redesigned and are available in HD in Update 9.14. One of the main novelties is the IS-6. The tank beloved by many players got a new HD skin and adjusted armor. The tank's front got the most attention, while the turret became even more ricochet-ier. The T-28 prototype acquired a roof. As a result, it got better protection against SPGs and other large-caliber high-explosive shells. Apart from that, every owner of the prototype will now be able to install ventilation in it. The AMX-50 Foch 155, E-25, Nashorn, a number of Japanese vehicles, and some others also received HD models. Update 9.14 will feature a new map, Ravaged Capital. A city map with high buildings places players in the streets glorified by Hemingway. However, you won't get a chance to ride a tank through the Ravaged Capital in random battles, as the map is only available in the Rampage mode. The map is being actively tested, and it's not impossible that in the near future we'll see this map in random battles as well. The Sacred Valley map was significantly improved. The changes were prompted by a large number of comments from players. Some hills were reshaped, others were moved. The bridge near the lower base was moved higher and now connects the castle and the temple. The open area near the temple became more spacious. The same applies to the opposite flank. The map now offers many more opportunities for attack. The mini-map became even more informative. The useful mod that adds a dynamic spotting range circle and draw distance circle is now available in the game by default. The green circle shows the current view range of a vehicle, considering mounted modules and consumables, as well as crew perks. The white circle is the maximum view range in the game, and the yellow circle is the draw distance. It shows the maximum display distance of any vehicle, be it an enemy or ally. The radius is 564 meters. The battle loading screen was improved. The settings offer 3 display types, including a screen with the mini-map. This option shows your spawn point and allows you to plan your actions. And that's not every change that Update 9.14 will bring. Thanks to your active participation in testing, we were able to fix hundreds of
sturdy and maneuverable, armed with a blunt club instead of a gun. You may not see why someone would need this tank at all when there's the IS-6. You drive it and it feels pretty much the same. But you also get the strange feeling that this tank has a few secrets. In part, the similarities with the IS-6 are real. The 112 was a Chinese attempt at improving the Soviet IS-6. Let's start with the guns. Regardless of what the engineers changed for the 112, the gun is essentially a twin of the IS-6's. And to be honest, the 112's gun therefore suffers the same drawbacks. Usually, accuracy is tested by trap shooting, and for our clay pigeons, we'll be using E-25s. You might run out of patience before you run out of ammo. The gun can be quite accurate. The Chinese gave the 112 a sniper view range of 380 meters. That's 30 meters more than the IS-6's view range, but that aim time, 3.4 seconds. You'll have trouble tracking moving targets. You're better off stopping and waiting for them to run into your gun sight. You can address this disadvantage with equipment and crew skills. The enhanced gun laying drive is a must-have. Next, the vertical stabilizer. Third, the always useful rammer. Aim time can also be improved with crew skills, snapshot, and smooth ride. The E-25 loses half its HP if you hit it. The 112's alpha damage is a huge 390. That's great on paper. In practice, the AP shell's low armor penetration is a problem. However, situational use of premium ammo unlocks the hidden potential of the gun. APCR shells make driving the IS-6 a real pleasure, whereas with the 112, you have to be more precise because it carries heat rounds. Yes, they are more powerful than the IS-6's APCR shells, 250 millimeters of armor penetration compared to 217. But if you hit a track, a side skirt, or a gun, that penetration becomes useless. That's why you need to aim. So how do you do it with such low accuracy? If a gun resembles a club, you're going to need to batter your opponent at point-blank range, and you can't do that without protection. That's where the 112's armor comes in. For the test of durability, we have a perfect location. We call it the line of shame. Here are the fierce warriors of the sandbox. For Tier 8 heavies, they should be a piece of cake. But what if there are 20 of them? Will the armor of the heavies withstand this onslaught? The shells bounce off the IS-6's sides like raindrops. That's right, the armor is good there, 100 millimeters, well sloped. But the Chinese didn't think that their heavy tank could get into such trouble. Its sides are thinner. They have only 80 millimeters of armor, set with almost no slope. Ouch, the Chinese heavy is burning. A shell penetrated its thin lower glacis plate and hit a fuel tank. The light tanks have found its most vulnerable spot. To avoid catching fire, you could fill your fuel tanks with CO2, but you only get 3 equipment slots. So you'll have to choose, sacrifice gun handling, or run a higher risk of fire. But true endurance includes the ability to keep fighting, even when damaged. Let's see how the battered tanks withstand further hits. Fire. The 112's 240mm thick turret bounces the shell off. Another bounce. And another. The upper glacis plate survives the attack as well. It has 120 millimeters of sloped armor. The front of the 112 is as hard as rock. And what about the IS-6? Its turret isn't as tough. So who has the last laugh now? Not much can be said for the 112's mobility. The speed is 45 kilometers per hour, and the traverse speed is 26 degrees per second. Its dynamics are neither its trump card nor its weakness, so no need to worry about it. It's much more important to know how to deal with an attack and strike back. For that, you need to see it in battle. The 112 has one very important advantage. It's almost always in the top of the list. It never has to fight Tier 10 vehicles. But with great power comes great responsibility. The Chinese Heavy should play its role as reliable shield of the attacking group. The first piece of advice: don't think about shooting until you get into a good position. Search for a place where you can cover your lower glacis plate and the enemy can't shoot you from the side. However, hilly terrain doesn't suit the 112 because its gun depression is poor. There are more convenient positions in the town. The 112 will be a master of the situation. Unlike the IS-6, it can make use of hull angling. The simple shape of the nose won't expose any weak spots if you turn your hull a bit, as it does for the IS-6. Secondly, you can trust your turret. For the opponents you'll meet, it will be very difficult to penetrate. Only the hatches are vulnerable. Wiggle the hull from time to time to throw off the enemy's aim. So you need to draw enemy fire and just force them to waste their time and shells. If it were not for the 112's turret, it will be hard to survive long enough to aim. But as it is, it works. Of course, failing to penetrate an enemy vehicle after taking so long to aim can make it feel like the 112 should be in Tier 7, where its gun seems to belong. But then, you bounce a TD shell and realize that this is almost like having a Tier 9 vehicle in Tier 8. That's what your opponents are feeling. This is a tank that can truly